Welcome to 1M3Y, a personal development podcast where we share about how to achieve your goals and speak to successful entrepreneurs and other key opinion leaders. I'm Joe.
And I'm Kerwin.
Welcome back to episode 3 of our podcast. All right, finally we are at episode 3. First two
Time
episodes.
flies.
Yeah, time flies, man. Let's start with a question here. So, Kerwin, have you faced a challenge and thought to yourself, I can't do this. It's too hard. Or perhaps, you tell yourself, I'm not smart enough for this.
So we all feel that way sometimes, Joe.
Maybe.
Okay?
Well, yeah, but have you thought to yourself, you could have think another way, which is, I'm unable to do this now, but if I put in enough effort, I will be able to do it eventually.
For sure, to a certain extent, all of us would have think that way.
Mhm.
That whenever we come with some issues that we face or a challenge that we face,
Yeah.
we'll be thinking, okay, there are days where we realize that I'm too tired and lazy for this and I'm just not going to care about it and just move on.
Yeah.
But there are other days, or even days right now, even, that we or I realize that sometimes it's okay to not be able to meet or overcome the challenge for now, but go back, do whatever I can do to practice and to also work harder towards overcoming the challenge.
Wow.
So with that said, yeah, I totally agree with you on that statement.
Yeah, that's nice because you're actually practicing growth mindset right here.
Growth mindset. So is
Yeah.
that what we're talking about today?
Yeah, today we'll be talking about growth mindset. Growth mindset is actually developed or coined by a psychologist from America.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Carol Dweck.
Mhm.
So she defines it as in a growth mindset, people believe that their most basic abilities
Mm-hmm.
can be developed through dedication and hard work.
Oh.
Brains and talent are just the starting point here. So, with a growth mindset, obstacles become opportunities
Mm.
to learn and grow rather than impassable roadblocks.
I totally agree with you, Joe. I think for me, it will be more towards how I can not let the challenge paralyze me and not just give up and not do anything. It's really how to overcome that challenge with something I'm learning differently or experiencing differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most importantly, is to tell yourself that you're not there yet. It's not that you cannot, you're
Mhm.
just not there yet.
Mm.
Right. So,
I feel like there's a lot of characteristics of a growth mindset.
yeah.
Should we dive down into some of the characteristics of what a growth
Yeah,
mindset
definitely.
entails?
I think that would be a good thing to actually to dive into.
What do you think one characteristic of a person should have when to adopt a growth mindset?
One of the most important characteristics is comparison. Having a growth mindset means that you tell yourself you're not there yet, right?
Okay.
But then again, to aid your growth mindset,
Mhm.
you have to have some sort of comparison, so that you know what you lack of.
So meaning comparing myself 2 years ago and comparing myself now, or do you mean by comparing myself with some other people?
I think it's to another person. So for example,
Oh, okay.
So, for example, um, today I compare myself with maybe another friend of mine
Okay.
who is better at something that I'm not good at. Then it allows me to actually tell myself that there is something that I lack of. It's not that I cannot do that thing. It's that perhaps I haven't developed that part of my brain, developed that part of my skill set. I just have to put in extra effort from now on. Then I will be able to do it eventually.
Talking about comparison, if I remember correctly, on last episode we ended off with do not compare
Yeah.
with other people.
What we got out of the last episode was actually comparison is only good when you're able to extract a good motivation out of it
Mm.
to actually push yourself back to achieve something that you haven't been able to do it. Yeah. How about you, Kerwin? What is one characteristics that you think is necessary for having a growth mindset?
For me, I think one of the characteristics that I read about also recently was being able to accept criticism from people. I think for the longest time in the past, I would say when I was younger till maybe 2 years ago,
Okay.
I take criticism very badly. So when people criticize me like, "Oh, your work is not good enough," or like, "Aya, Kerwin, you can design better lah. Your design like this is like very lousy." I don't know. Now all this criticism, it's not on the top of my head right now because
Do
I
people actually say that to you? Like,
in the
is
past I think so. I think so. I think
so
so.
your memory is trying to not recall it,
Yes,
but
all the negative stuff remove. But I won't say all criticism are negative. I think what I've learned over the past few years, or recent years actually, that criticism might not be a bad thing.
yeah.
And after going through the whole NOC program, I've learned that you need those criticism to grow.
Mm.
You do not know what people is thinking or where people is seeing you from their perspective. And something that I want to say is that we think we know ourselves the best
Yeah.
and we think we know everything about ourselves. But there are some areas in our life that we are so used to that we are blinded by it. That we need people to actually show us or tell us what are we missing or what can be improved. So yeah,
Is there a example that you want to share here?
I
Uh,
think okay, I think one example on the top of my head it would be um my okay, let's say my social media skills. I think for the longest time since I graduated from Polytechnic, I thought that okay with this diploma, wow, very big.
sorry, Kawhi, what was your diploma?
Uh, my diploma was in mass media management, so I thought that for the past 3 years I know everything that is with using social media.
Okay.
However, I think I was very humbled recently that social media is always evolving and growing and there's new trends. And I do not know everything I know. And when sometimes when people criticize me like, oh Kerwin, instead of posting this kind of content, would you be okay to explore other kind of content? Okay, they did say that nicely, but when I receive the criticism like this, that's how I think it in my head. Now then I realized that yeah, maybe they actually meant this instead of hey, can we not post this lah? Post another one better. Or like they want like quite not getting any traction or like something like that.
Okay.
In a harsher tone and harsher way. I think
So essentially, people are criticizing your
work
work.
back then.
But does it mean that they were did they do that while they were right, or was it just
What do you
their
mean by
thing?
whether they were right or wrong?
Like when they criticize, right?
Okay.
Uh, do you think that they were right, or do you think that you learn from that?
Okay, at that point of time back then, okay,
Yeah.
at that point of time, I was like, so easy to do, lor? Don't know, that kind of thing. And I always thought that I was right back
Okay.
then. But then, yeah, as mentioned, in recent years, I realized that I really need to take the humble pie, or even really need to take all kinds of comments and feedback with not just a pinch of salt. They are just they have nothing better to do to say some stuff. But some other people who actually genuinely wants you to improve or they genuinely feel that you can do better, they will share such stuff. And maybe they might not say it in a nice tone or a way that you thought that you would be productive. But learn how to filter. I think the word is filter. Learn how to filter criticism into something positive and how to improve yourself based on those criticism.
Maybe some tips on how to filter this criticism, like
I think for me, some tips will be actually looking at the main, I won't say the main motivation, but the main gist of what the person trying to say. Usually, if it's a friend and you are very close to a friend, you tend to just say without thinking or without any filter,
right.
like, ah, yeah, hey, can we do this better? Or like, can we, I know you can do this
Yeah.
better in another ways.
Yeah.
But the main gist of it is, oh, this is not the best, you're one of your best work. You can do this, or you can try to brainstorm different ways to improve this.
Yeah.
As in, I would not say that's a practical, helpful tip because I really do not know how to word it down
But I think if you
practically.
want to put it into the growth mindset perspective, right? You need to tell yourself that people are criticizing my skills or
Mm,
my
mm,
work in this aspect.
mm,
But you need to tell yourself it's because you're still learning,
mm,
you have perhaps overlooked a certain area that they are looking at,
mm,
but you'll eventually be able to comprehend or evaluate a work like them
mm,
because you're still learning.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I mean, society sometimes might be harsh to people
Mm.
who are still learning.
For sure.
Yeah, but I think if we want to improve, we can only adopt the growth mindset rather than just be okay with
Oh
what
yeah,
we are.
for sure, for sure. I think when you were talking about society and how people are criticizing, something came to mind was actually when I was learning about product market validation. So when usually for startups, when they have an idea, they want to go out to the market to see whether this product or this service or whatever fits into what they think the market would accept the product as. So they will go out to ask, oh, is this kind of problems? Are you facing all these problems? And does this solution solve all these problems?
Mm,
I think through that process, I think we took the same module, TR4049.
yeah, right.
What do you call it? Market
Market
validation.
validation.
Yeah, where
Yes.
we got to go out and ask hundreds of people over a problem and whether the product we are creating is the solution. That really taught me a lot of not just people skills but also critical thinking skills on to really not just hear what people have to say, but also see where they're coming from and how their advice or feedback help me or help the product to grow. So
Yes.
it's very similar to a growth mindset. Instead of just product, it's about is yourself. How can you help yourself to grow?
Mm.
Yeah. Then Joe, as you mentioned about adopting a growth mindset, I'm assuming that you have a growth mindset.
Surprisingly, I didn't know that I was adopting a growth mindset.
Okay.
So to remind people, growth mindset is telling yourself you're not there yet, right?
Mm.
So that's the main question or main
Mm.
point of it. I realized that I have been adopting this growth mindset in my pursuit of things outside of academics.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about academics. I see sort of every challenge along the way when
Mm.
finding for internships as an opportunity for myself. So from year one during the summer break,
Mm.
actually went to intern at a civil engineering company.
Okay.
Back then, out of year one, you didn't have much technical knowledge.
Yeah.
So you honestly couldn't really be of much help. But I was surprised that I got a internship offer
Okay.
and I went on site. At first, I could have told myself, I'm not good enough.
Uh-huh.
I might be in people's way.
Okay. Okay.
So I could just reject the offer and not go for it.
Okay.
But I tell myself, if I'm in people's way, it means I'm learning because then I'm doing things that matters.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm in people's way. So I went for it. And that was when I realized construction is not for me.
Mm.
And thankfully, in year two, I pivoted to startups.
Mm.
Uh, when I joined for a startup in a business development role,
Mm.
I expressed interest in business development because I thought sales slash market expansion, all these are quite interesting. And surprisingly, my previous boss, he accepted me and let me actually go to follow him around to actually learn how to do business development or how to manage clients.
Mm.
So from there, I think um, I might not be of much help, but it was still a lot of learnings for me.
Mm.
All these experience, I could tell myself, I'm not good enough, so I
Mm.
shouldn't be there.
Mm.
Then after that, the opportunity came to go Sweden. There was many barriers when I took out the opportunity to go Sweden, like language barrier, business acumen. Am I good enough to
Mm.
go travel 4,000 or few thousand kilometers away
Yeah.
to work, right?
Mm.
And there were a lot of barriers thinking that I'm not enough or like, am I worthy of this? But I just went for it and tell myself, if I'm not there yet, I'm gonna learn.
Mm.
Then after that, I learned a lot there, being overseas itself, being independent. And now I also learned that I want to try finance. I took up an internship and I'm looking to take up certain certifications in finance. So I think along all these space, there were a lot of questions about whether I am good enough for these things. And the very definite answer would be I'm not enough for that.
Mm.
I'm have a lot of gaps needed to be able to execute a certain role well. But these are internships, right? So I told myself, these are places of or opportunities for us to actually learn. So
Yes.
I just went for it.
So how's it like in your finance internship now?
Uh, I really like finance now. I
Okay.
think as I'm doing my role, carry out my role, and looking up to those associates and partners who are conducting themselves, their daily business, I find it very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It is a field that I really want to pursue, and yeah, I'm looking to get my chartered financial analyst level one exam taken at the end of this year. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I'm hopefully I'm studying for that, and yeah, also waiting to graduate. Can't wait to graduate actually.
Everyone is waiting to graduate now,
I
as in
mean,
our batch people.
yeah. See, I mean, we are at the final year already.
Yeah.
There's nothing else for us to do other than
Yes.
graduate. But yeah, job
And
market.
yeah,
Let's not go into that.
it's it's the economy is not.
Yeah, but I think let's just adopt
Yeah,
the growth
yeah.
mindset. Don't give up. We are not there yet. We just keep improving. We'll get there.
Yeah. I think funny you said about talking about entering the finance industry.
Yeah.
I think for me, maybe this could also be one tip that I'm doing, or one step that I'm taking to adopt a growth mindset. I can share with you guys would be more of reading articles on something I'm interested in. So recently, I won't say recently, for a few months now, I was very interested in the industry of generative AI.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to really explore that scene.
Cool.
So for me, would be one step or one practical step I'm actually taking is every day when I wake up in the morning, I will either read an article or short snippet on something interesting about generative AI, like how chatbots are working now. It's very different from how chatbots used to work previously.
Yep.
And these are these are steps that I feel like it helps me to learn more and helps me to understand the industry more. And to take one more step further is to really once a week to really post on LinkedIn and share about what I've actually learned.
Yeah.
If just now you mentioned about sharing a tip on
I
adopting
think
growth
that is
mindset.
very remarkable, and I'm very proud of you, Kerwin.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, this, actually, I think reading is very important
Yeah.
to actually expose ourselves to new topics and new development around a certain interest or topic that we are interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also try to read the Financial Times every day. I have been doing that for at least 5 out of 7 days.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's good.
But
still.
also,
Yeah.
so maybe just to touch on AI, generative AI, and also digress a bit.
Okay.
So I have been doing research on AI for my company for the
Okay.
past few days,
Uh-huh.
2 days or 3 days, something like that. And I must say that generative AI or AI is the future. From what I have seen, AI is going to stay. It's like the next revolution, and it's compared to the revolution of smartphones, the revolution of computers. So all businesses will have to use AI to improve their productivity, to increase their revenue, and to improve their bottom line. So I will tell you for sure, AI is a mega trend, and for people who are doubting AI, I tell you that I am very bullish about AI.
Thanks for sharing that, Joe. But I mean, the time also nowadays, in recent news, you see a lot of people getting laid off
Yes.
because of AI and stuff like that. And for sure, there are mixed feelings about. Or actually, those are actually evidence on what AI can do and does. But I feel like that's a topic for another time.
Yep.
It could be our next topic even.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about AI.
Yeah, I think there's something we can look into on how AI is affecting not just the economy but everything, how things are being different from last time and all.
Yeah.
But I think we are coming to an end. I want to say something about next week. We have a special guest.
Yay.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that podcast,
Yeah.
that recording. Yeah.
It's our first guest and I can't wait.
Yeah. So is there anything else we should say?
I think we should give our listeners some takeaways or key takeaways that they should
Okay.
have from our episode.
So maybe you want to go first, Joe.
Okay, sure. Well, I think most importantly, tell yourself that you're not there yet.
Okay.
Don't tell yourself that you cannot. Don't give yourself an ultimatum when you can actually do it still. That is the growth mindset.
I feel like you're talking to me. I really do that.
Every single episode I'm talking
Yeah,
to
every
you.
single episode, I'm learning so much. For me, I would say it's something that I also need to remind myself is to really just. Okay, I read it somewhere. I know that's not before recording this. I was mentioning this to you, but I read somewhere that showing up is like the first step of success, and to actually have that thought or want to learn more and to know that you are not there yet. I think that's really the first step, and that's important to really acknowledge it. It's all these mini steps that they call this the butterfly effect, where some small steps like even waking up, getting out of bed to go for a course that you are dreading to go for, that could lead to a major life-changing event in years to come.
Mm.
So yeah, it's the small steps that count.
Okay, just take the first step.
Yeah.
All right, that's a very nice way to wrap up the episode. Remember to take the first step and tell yourself that you can do it.
I'm telling myself that also. I can do it. We can do it.
We
yes,
can do it.
we
Yeah.
can do it.
All right, so I think it's time for us to wrap up this episode. We are 1M3Y Podcast. We are on Instagram and we post our
And TikTok.
and YouTube. And we post our podcast on YouTube and also Spotify podcast. So please share with your friends if you're listening.
And if you have any comments or feedback, please drop us a message on Instagram.
Or if you know someone who can or should speak on our show, please share their link or invite
Yes.
or drop in our comments.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Okay, bye. See you next time.
Bye.